What's going on, family? I'm your host, Greg. This is my co-host,
LaQuisha.
and this is the Hallwaze podcast, where we navigate the hallways of life. Now, you may ask, what is Hallways? I'll tell you. Hallways is a conversation that we're having with you through these episodes where we talk about things from relationship, decision-making skills, all around trauma, and we give you guys the tools that you need to help navigate, to make right decisions, and pretty much overcome obstacles that we all deal with.
If you guys want to keep in touch with us or find out more of what we do at OIC, you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and you can go to our main website, oicsfl.org.
As always, navigating the hallways of life. What's going on, Hallways family? It's your host, Greg, and my co-host,
LaQuisha.
and we're here again with season 1, episode 2, right? And today's episode is called Acres of Diamonds, making the most of every opportunity, man. LaQuisha, man, I know we in the schools, we have opportunities to see thousands of kids throughout the year, and we hear all types of things. We hear, career choices, career ideas, what they want to do. Nowadays, the topic is everybody wants to be an influence because they want to generate money. And a lot of times when we get into these conversations, we realize they begin to overlook opportunities that they may have. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think now with social media, things that that influence them the most, like TikTok, Instagram, they see a lot of people overnight success.
Okay.
So they want to chase that too. It's also a lot of Instagram university people who teaching them the ways of this and that. And sometimes they don't know that it took a lot to get there. So I think it's just like an instant gratification thing. The quicker way out, the easy way out.
Okay. Yeah, man. And when we say that, it's like, I would assume that you're not trying to necessarily hinder or stop their creativity, but like more so getting them to take advantage or making the most of the opportunities that they're given, right? And just pretty much begin to see the value of situations that they may find themselves that they couldn't control. Like, for example, background stories or their narrative, or basically what everybody came from. Because, some people, unfortunately, may not have come from money. Some people may not have come from privilege. Some people may have not come from 2-parent households and, the white picket fence and all.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what is some things that we can do, or what are some things that you have done in your, educating students to make them see the value of their story, whether it be negative or positive?
Well, I always get to know the students.
Mm-hmm.
We're in classes probably like 10 times in one school, different times, get to know them, kind of see the tools that they already have, and I start with presenting them with that. Mm-hmm. So right now, when you go home, you may have a background that may make you feel like the only way that you have is the way that you have now, right. And school is just a thing that I have to come to. But what they don't know is school is actually a tool that's their, how can you say, like a tool that is their right now guidance. Okay. This is what I have right now, and this is what I'm going to use. It also teaches them in the long run that now I have to always look around in any situation to see what tools that I have now that can steward me in the future. Mm-hmm, so then from that lesson, that's when I build on it. And I just drop gems on them every now and then, give them worst case scenarios, best case scenarios, kind of brain pick with them. And I feel like the best thing I do is kind of like I talk to them on their level. You know, I talk to them on, like, I say stuff to them because when we were younger, Greg, let me know too, when we were younger, the older people was telling us what we was doing was wrong or inaccurate. And we was like, nah, y'all don't understand this. Y'all don't know what our everyday life is. But now that I'm older, I see that nothing's new under the sun. For sure. So when I'm telling them these stories and I'm like, this is what happened in these scenarios, or I bet you've been in a scenario like that, and their eyes open wide, that's when you got them. Right. So, and that's kind of like some tools that I'll give to them as well.
I like that, man. You brought a lot of insight on that. Like, and being that we have opportunities to be in, like, in alternative schools, mm-hmm. right? And schools in certain low income neighborhoods, unfortunately, it's like almost as if they wear that narrative or they accept it, right?
That's their norm.
Exactly. And so people in their family may have not gone to college, mm-hmm. or people in their family or within their neighborhood doesn't value education. They only value the sports route or the rapping route, right? Which are not bad things in of itself, mm-hmm. but they overlook, their now, right? Mm-hmm. Or they begin to just accept the narrative that's been given to them, right? Because I'm a boy, because I'm a boy that whose father maybe have been in prison or whose mother may have been strung out on drugs, unfortunately. Therefore, I'm just gonna fall in line. I'm just gonna fall into that cycle. And one thing I value so much about our job, our role in society, is while we go into these schools, I like to call ourselves narrative interrupters.
Oh yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So we interrupt those narratives and give them something outside of what they've probably been accepting or what they've been told all their lives possibly, and give them another perspective on what's going on now, right? Hence the word diamonds, right? And just a little background, you know, I don't want to misconstrue anything. The reason why we chose that title for that episode is because Acres of Diamonds is really a short story written by this man who pretty much founded Temple University, Russell Conwell. And basically the story goes back to in Africa, right? To where this farmer had a land, and he began to see other people selling off their land and getting money from it, getting revenue from it, and say, you know, I want that. I want to, you know, expand my horizons. And so he sold his land. He gave it up and just went on this journey to find it. Lo and behold, he couldn't find anything, so he eventually threw himself in the sea and died. And the person who he sold it to, one day he invited a friend over, and the friend, you know, noticed that there was a piece, like a rock, a little rock covered with dirt on his counter. And he says, hey man, like, what's with that rock? He's like, oh, just a piece of rock, you know, nothing. So he can brush it off, and he realized, no, I think this is a diamond. Like, no, wait, it's a rock. So they went in the backyard, started digging in the backyard. What they noticed, they were standing on a whole acre of diamonds. Right?
Wow.
So that one thing that someone sold and didn't see the value for it, went searching somewhere else, he was standing on acres the whole time. Right? And that's the why we're kind of bringing it back in to really show like your story or your background, whether it be negative or positive, traumatic, you know, what have you. If you have the right perspective, you can look at it as a diamond or look at it as something value and actually leverage it for your own benefit. What you think about that, LaQuisha?
Man, that was a real deep story. Talk about the man who gave up that land, you know.
Well, I know he hurt.
Talk about another man's treasure.
Yeah.
But that, you know, I think that is such a beautiful story in itself, because I believe that many of us, we are so busy looking at what everyone else has, what they have in the now, what they come with, all these things, that it kind of puts us in a state where we don't have enough, or because we look like this or our story is like this, that we don't have diamonds. Discontentment, or we are not diamonds because lack of identity, different things that play a role in that. So I man, like, there are so many things that are diamonds that people overlook in their everyday life just from off the fact of comparison, or thinking it's not enough, or contentment, or self battles. Something I do want to bring out, how diamonds are actually made through pressure in the earth's surface. It has to be under a high intense pressure, high intense heat, in order for that diamond to form in perfection. In the center of the earth, it's a unique situation. Not anybody can make diamonds. They can imitate it, but they cannot make diamonds. So using those pressure situations, knowing how diamonds are formed, like, we have to get into, and as educators, teach the kids, especially the ones that are in the community that we serve,
Right.
the value of washing off the dirt to make diamonds.
I like that. I really like that. And really seeing that value in it, right? Because I like the what you say in the beginning, where you says like one man's treasure is another man's treasure. And really, for example, we have the people that we look up to, like Michael Jordan, LeBron, Oprah Winfrey, you know, what have you, whomever you look up to. I bet you that one of the reasons why we look up to them so much is because they overcame some type of adversity, right? They didn't just accept the narrative that was given to them, right? They didn't just accept what happened to them as if this is the end, this is what I have to accept, right? Instead, they just used what happened to them and saw, you know what, I can use this that I have and make it valuable, and from there, make more diamonds from that point. And let's bring it, look, being that we're talking to teenagers and we're talking to students, what are some other things that they may overlook? Right, because let's speak to the sophomore or the junior that's about to go to their senior year. You know, the whole conversation with colleges coming up. What are some things that they may be overlooking right now?
Ooh, I can name a few. So let's kind of start from, I'm not even going to say small to greatest, because then that's like undermining it. But let's start with the school system, right? So within the schools, some schools, they have guidance counselors.
Okay.
They have mentors. They have teachers who are passionate about their job, so much so that they are willing to give outside advice and guidance to them.
Right.
A lot of students will just come to school and it's like, oh, I got to wake up. Oh, I have to be here. It's another day. Oh, I'm about to graduate. I'm about to be done with y'all. Oh, the students, the drama. But underlook that within school systems with these guidance counselors, they can help you find scholarships. They can help you get connected to colleges. Some of them are alumni to colleges.
Key.
Some of them they actually are within relations with different colleges to bring students on. So that's the first thing. Then you have the educators, or say the outside vendors like us, who come and we go into schools and we educate, and then we have these other programs to help guide them, like our Summer Internship Academy, our YLC, these different things. Even me and you created a mentor program for the students that we were allowed to present that to out of passion of seeing them grow. That's a diamond that kids overlook. Why? Because right now, I don't understand it, or I just don't feel like I need it. Now, let's go into the community. There's so many nonprofits in the community. There's so many community services. There's so many people out there that are willing to help. But sometimes the kids don't look at it like that. They look at their community like, I live in a hood, or it's always this, or it's that, or, I have to satisfy my image now. Like I have to satisfy my peers now and how they see me, and keep that standard.
Keep up that reputation.
And then now for the juniors and the seniors that do come to graduate, then they go off to like college, or they go into the job force. And if they're in college, they undermines like, oh, I'm in community college, is nothing, or oh, I'm not at the university that the world says is the best university, so whatever. Or they're at a startup job and they're overlooking their startup job like, I'm in college, so I'm just here for now, not knowing that when life when life start hitting you, and that job you overlooking now might be that stepping stone to something else. Right. And community college might be a stepping stone to a university even better than the one that you originally imagined. These are all diamonds that, I see a lot of junior and seniors like kind of dwindle. And another major point is all of that, like the jobs, the schools, the teachers, relationship, educators, community support, all that is networking. And then they get older, or they go off and they don't network. And then they have this mentality like, I'm an introvert. I don't like people, miss. I could do everything by myself, miss. I don't need nobody, miss. I could be by myself. Like that's usually the storyline with a lot of them.
Right.
And then they miss out on the key thing of networking, because we all know in most situations, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right. I like that. You said a mouthful, man. Like even with the aspect with community college, right? Like a lot of times once the view of community colleges, it's small. It's not as big as the UPenns or the Miami U's or UCFs or the USFs and so on and so forth. And it doesn't get as much clout or notoriety, right? So therefore, they're in their mind, they're saying, and we've probably done it as well. In their mind, if it's not a big name college, then I cannot be successful. Not true, right? Because what community college gives you the opportunity to do is to figure yourself out, right? Because I know there's a lot of pressure, from guidance counselors, from parents, even on yourself, right? Oh my God, I'm about to graduate. I don't know what college I'm about to go to. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. Oh my God, I'm gonna be a failure, which is not true. And you rob yourself from giving time to explore, right? So the luxury that you have in community college is taking your time, not having so many external pressures such as partying, the social scene, all those things, right? Which, have their rightful place, but if you're the one who don't know what you want to major in, if you don't know what you want to do when you actually graduate from college or move on, then maybe you may not be able to handle those social pressures at that moment. Maybe you can't handle what comes with the lifestyle of college, right? And so you're giving yourself time to grow. You're giving yourself time to explore. You're giving yourself time to network even, right? You're giving yourself time to, maximize the small opportunities you have. You don't know how you would be as a college student. Why? Because in college, you come up with your own schedule, right? I remember I found out I don't got to wake up at 7:45 anymore. I don't got to go to class and catch the bus no more. What? I can make a class at noon?
Oh,
of course, right? So with that freedom comes much responsibility. You can't just have, all that access and all that freedom and not know how to be responsible for it, right? So those are the things that some of the many things that community college affords you to. And even in there now, a lot of times when it comes to like entry level not salaries, but entry level jobs or entry level, workplace situations, we overlook it because why? We think, all right, it's a small job. I'm getting a minimum wage. I'm not going to be doing much. I'm just here until I get to my next, right? But not knowing that you may need where you are now as a reference point for your next,
Yep.
right? Because you don't know who knows who. You don't know when you're going to need a reference point. And for you to not handle or maximize where you are in that entry level, whether it be a Publix, whether it be a McDonald's, whether it be working for a non-for-profit organization, interning, what have you, you don't know that after this season of your life concludes, that you're trying to go into your ideal career or your ideal job, and they're going to ask you, I see your resume, I see all that you've done, but we need some references. And those references can be your key to getting to that next job. Because why? It's asking of you from your former employer, what is their work ethic? What did they bring to the team? Did they maximize every opportunity? It's a character check. Because why? A company does not want to invest in an individual who with bad quality character that will damage and bring, a bad image to their job or their workplace, right? So those are some of the many things that we overlook. And I would like to lean into a little bit. Why is that? Is it social media? Is it our peer influence? What is it? Or the lack of understanding? Why do we overlook those opportunities?
I believe it's all of the above. Peer, social media, self-identity, how things were presented. I can even give you a personal story.
Okay.
So going back to, I started at Mommy Dade. Now, first, I never had any plans to go into college.
Okay.
I was ready to graduate, ready to be a millionaire by 25, however means necessary. I was ready to jump into the YouTube world. I was ready for it all.
Yeah.
I had this one math teacher, never forget him. He pushed us to take the Mommy Dade college course. Like my whole senior year was passing this test. Once we took that test, and I passed it, I was like, okay, so I guess I'm going to college. Went off to college, to Mommy Dade, got to the school. I was like, man, we all a bunch of like rejects. It's a true story. That's how I felt. We had a community college. That's real. Ain't no big name. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I went to Mommy Dade. It was all fun, but then I started making good grades. I was always an academic, but I was really succeeding in college. But I was what they call a commuter student. I'll go to school and leave. That's it. No after school activities, no nothing until I got a little bit deeper into it. And requirements were like internships, going around campus, hosting events because I was in hospitality at the time. When I had to start doing these things, do you know the Food Network came to the school because with hospitality is food. So we met these top chefs. We was in these big seminars. Long and behold, Mommy Dade owns a restaurant on campus that I never knew about. And it's funded by all the students are chefs.
Wow.
Never knew. We work with the Mommy Dade Police Department. We work with the Miami Heat. All these things. I never knew. Because I was so busy on this is just a community college. Oh, this is stepping stone. I'm going to FIU when I'm done with this. I lost a lot of diamonds by searching for gold. Well, gold is good too now, but I was like, this ain't the golden ticket for me. So that was like that took a toll on me. And then I was so caught up on, I want the college experience. I want to be on campus. I want to see the football players. And I want to be, because y'all know I'm a girl, whatever. So I was like so hyped on all these other things. All my cousins talking about college parties and all these stories. And I'm like, I ain't got them type of stories. Right, and I'm like, my friends are like, come do this with me on campus. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm trying to find a university I'm going to. So I really missed out on my diamond just for me to get FIU, and I wanted to go back to Mommy Dade. I really tried to go back to Mommy Dade, and they was like, "Nah, you can't do that. You got to finish out your program." Yeah. But that it's a narrative that gets pushed down to us that it's not good enough. It's less than, or we're less than because we can't do it. And sometimes, what I've learned in that journey is that the people who are selling this narrative to us, they don't even know they're diamonds because half of them has not had the college experience, and they're just pushing you to go off to the college experience, and to be successful or to make it out to the environment when they never took that journey. So some of their advice is coming from just like hearsay. Another thing that I want to touch on too is when you said about the references. So in my earlier days, I worked at Target when I was a little bit younger, you know, and, you know, I'm from Liberty City. So a lot of things were not pointed out to me. So the way I talk was aggressive. The way I answered questions was like straightforward, ebonics, you know. So I got into this workforce outside of my neighborhood, and it really sanctified me because I was horrible. And I ask that any customer that ever had to deal with me and my attitude, please forgive me. But I remember going into so many interviews hoping that the customer that I did whatever to or said whatever was not the person interviewing me. I had a legit fear of that. But not knowing that, going through all that outside of my community, outside of my norms, was actually is actually what saved me. Seeing that the world was bigger than just what I thought was a diamond because, oh, I can dress or, oh, I got this or whatever. Nah, it was way more than what I thought it was.
So exposure gave you a different perspective.
Yep, exposure. Yep, uncomfortable. Uncomfortable experiences as well. Having to deal with people who don't have the same background as me, who don't understand the words that I'm saying, who don't get why maybe you feel like I'm so mad, but you don't know why I'm mad, or you don't know why I am the way that I am, because they call it fight or flight. I was always in fight or flight, but that's what life taught me. So definitely, it's some diamonds out there in them regular 9-to-5s that people think that, oh, in fact, my dad works at Publix now to this day, where some people will look at like, oh, this 9-to-5 ain't nothing, but that is what funded my whole career up until now.
Wow. And that's a beautiful thing, because that, like I said, with that exposure, sometimes you may not have the luxury to come outside of your neighborhood or come outside of the outskirts of where you're from, but you may have access to information. You and I both know how to use Google, right? We use YouTube and social media, right? Now, YouTube, Google, social media are not wrong in of itself. It's more so how you use it, right? And, you know, you may not be privileged to it, but you have your local library to get access to books. You have YouTube and looking up, you know, positive things that will help enhance your career, your mindset on certain things. You have other individuals who may have come from your background, come from your experiences, but they have a different mindset than you. That's true. And one of the beauties about being and going to the schools is we're coming and exposing, right? Because being that we're educators, we can't force no one to do nothing. We can't bend no one to do anything. But what we can do is inform. And being that we inform, we're giving them the opportunity to hear about things that they didn't know maybe have been possible with the internships during the summer. You know, the Summer Leadership Academy, where we have 2 weeks dedicated to the students, 50 plus students and staff, to where we give them the skills they need, soft skills, job etiquette, email etiquette, things that you may not know, right? But we're giving you that exposure in a 2-week time frame so that you'll be successful, not just for the internship that you have during the summer, but also for future endeavors. And we've heard countless stories of even last year to where one of our students who had an internship at, you know, the Museum of Discovery and Science here in Fort Lauderdale, and that internship eventually turned to a long-term job for her after high school. Right. So we have many stories like that because why? Those individuals maximized the opportunities and the tools we gave them, and they saw the value in them, and they saw, you know what, though my background may not be the most ideal, guess what? I can see this as a diamond, and I can use that as a launching pad for my future. Right. And that's one of the beauties about OIC. We provide opportunities. You know, specifically being that we're talking with students and, you know, those in high school, we provide you opportunities with the education, with the partnerships, what have you. We're like almost a one-stop shop because we want to ensure that regardless of your background, regardless of the choices you made in the past, regardless of what was done to you, what have you, fill in the blank, that you still see that you have an opportunity to be successful, not just financially, but also in a relational aspect, right?
Also to add on to that, Greg, what I think is also a beauty is that sometimes the OIC as a whole serves getting people acclimated to go back into the real world after incarceration. So what I think is a beautiful story is that sometimes we go into the schools and sometimes their parents use OIC as a service.
That's key.
So we coming in and they're like, oh yeah, like OIC, I know about you because my mom or my dad, they went there, or, and it's always from my experience, it's always a success story. We even partner with a nonprofit where the mom used OIC to get to that point, and then later on OIC added her as a partner to work with us. So I think that's also a beauty in going into the schools and having these programs as well, and with our SLA as well. Well, even with our YOC students, they had to go meet with the OIC board, which happens every 3 months. And, they asked us to put on a few students. And with that, they created a position on the board for a student, which one of our YLC students is now the head of that.
Look at that.
And now we're going to do a thing where we continue to rotate and give everybody that opportunity. But that all came from those students going out and taking that opportunity and creating a seat in the room.
That's ideal. And these are some of the many diamond success stories that we have, not just in theory, but also by experience. And that's what we're pretty much pushing today, is really seeing what you are, whether it be your background, whether you come from the hood, whether your family situation is not ideal, whether you have made some, not so smart or wise decisions and you're suffering the consequences from them. Fill in the blank. Whichever whichever you fit, we letting you know that doesn't have to be the end. There are still opportunities based on the perspective that you have, and whether you're in that entry level job, whether you're still working at Publix to help your family because that's the situation you're in, whether you're a senior about to go to college and you thought that you're going to go to college, but you realize not only that you're not going, but because your family can't afford it, right? Whichever situation you may find yourself in, we're saying is maximize the opportunities you have. Look for opportunities within that situation, and you'll realize what you're really holding is not a rock covered with dirt, but actually a diamond. Right? And that's all we have for you today, man.
That's all.
Season 1, episode 2, Acres of Diamond in the bag. Thanks for watching the Hallwaze podcast,
where we navigate the hallways of life.
Like and subscribe.